I am very glad to welcome back to Gayle McLaughlin. In 2003, she co-founded the Richmond Progressive Alliance, and as mayor, Gayle led Richmond into a significant progressive transformation. She also helped found the California Progressive Alliance. Okay, you're an important person for Americans because you won an election to be mayor of an American city. And I wanted to begin by asking you to reflect on being a mayor, now being part of the city council, in the leadership of that community, the political leadership, when you have such a kind of overwhelming citizen, if I can say so, in the Chevron oil company, with whom much of the city's history is wrapped up.
Yes, the relationship between Richmond and Chevron has always been rocky, and the source of the problem, in my view, is this big oil company coming out there with all its propaganda and trying to divide the community. But we've stood up to it. We've confronted them. We formed a unified local movement called the Richmond Progressive Alliance, and we are building this local progressive movement to stand for the people versus Chevron. So it's one of these things that we know has to happen. So people understand that this is a big impediment that we suffer from in Richmond, having this big oil company in our city, but we're standing up to them because we have to, and we're standing for the workers of Chevron as well, which you may know, Rick, are now on strike.
Chevron has mingled in local politics, and that it has tried to avoid having local elections produce leadership like yours, because it makes your ability to win even more impressive because you were able to overcome their active efforts to block leadership like yours.
Absolutely, Rick. We often say Chevron not only pollutes our air, but they pollute our elections. They put lots of money into our elections to support their own Chevron-friendly candidates and to attack progressive candidates. They pollute our planet as a whole. But what we find is that they use every means possible. They have this media site that's called Richmond Standard, but it should be called Chevron Standard, and they use it to promote all their misinformation and attack us. And the current mayor has utilized that to utilize Richmond Standard. They kind of seem to promote each other in various ways to attack progressives. So we have an uphill climb, and it kind of mirrors the national movement, the polarization we're having in Richmond that's happening on a national scale. And so there's some obstacles we need to overcome.
You were able to defeat the big corporate bear that stares down on the community. And that's an important lesson for people around the country who sometimes get discouraged about the capability of mobilizing people against corporate power. You chose to work not with the two-party monopoly of this country, the Democrats and Republicans, but to go out, be progressive. Why did you choose that independent way? And how do you account for the fact that you were able to win, given the power of the two-party monopoly that governs most of the United States?
I kind of come from a history from when I was very young, in my late teens and early 20s, of understanding that this capitalist system is harming us all, and the Democrats and Republicans are not helping us, and it kind of made my thinking understand that we needed to independently build movements apart from both the Democrats and the Republicans. And so when I finally decided to run for office in Richmond, I ran from a position of wanting to build an independent movement. And the way that we did that was to reach out and educate the community. I think it's important now that I remain no party preference, because I could talk to people in different parties, third parties, progressive Democrats, etc., and share with them the need for us all to come together. In Richmond, we feel we're very much a part of that independent movement building.
Do you have the feeling that something important is happening and bubbling on the progressive side of the ledger here in the United States now?
I think what we see right now, and I see Richmond as a bit of a microcosm to the larger movement or the larger presence of progressive activism in the country, is we see a lot of polarization in general. We see a lot of chaos, if you will. And so there's some, and this is all based on capitalism's attempts to divide us. You know, in Richmond, we're very focused on social movements such because we have a majority people of color community. We support, of course, the Black Lives Matter movement and racial equity and immigration rights. And so we really want to lift up our Black and brown community members. We have a strong Asian population as well. But we also need to look at the class analysis. So my view is that we were able to reach out and stand up to the big oil refinery and make some great progress, you know, but at the same time, we are now in a new era, if you will, after the pandemic and the ongoing economic crisis we face and continue to face, which is going to make things even harder. We need more forces, and Richmond is not an island. We need to continue to lift up our Black and brown community. We need to bring in all the white progressives in Richmond standing together who understand that class is what binds us together. You know, the working class is 99%, as the Occupy movement said. So we need to understand that there's more of a resurgence, I think, of the union movement right now. So we want to sort of showcase the needed bonding between unions and the social movements. We want to showcase that there is the strength of numbers that we can showcase by coming together as working class people of all races, ethnicities, and culture.
I want people to understand that someone who comes out of your background and rises up in a community like that can become part of a leadership and part of a progressive shift in the country. It's one of the basic hopes for the future for everyone.